Hello, scholars, and welcome to Unit 7, Lesson 8, Predict Future Events. Our aim for today is scholars will be able to predict the future events from experimental results. So in previous lessons, we have made predictions, but using theoretical probability. So for example, if we wanted to predict how many times a coin would land on heads if I flip it 50 times, 100 times, it could be any a number of times. The fraction I would use is 1 over 2 because that's the theoretical probability of a coin landing on heads. Today will be a little bit different because instead of using the theoretical probability, we are predicting future events from experimental results, which is basically the same thing as the observed relative frequency. It's something that we would need to do to collect data, or the data will be in the question. Maybe it's in a table, maybe it's typed up in a paragraph, and we will collect that data in order to predict a future event, right? So instead of using theoretical probability to make predictions today, we'll be using the observed relative frequency. So I want to give you a short example of what that looks like. Let's say that I had two different colored pens in a box, and I wanted to make an experiment to have an observed relative frequency in order to make a prediction. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 trials, right? So I have these two colored pens inside of a box, and I randomly pick one, and the first one I pick is green. Okay. I do the experiment again, and now I get an orange. Okay. And then I do the experiment again and I get another green. So that's the end of my experiment. This is not the best experiment. You'll learn later in this lesson that the more trials you do, the better. I've only done 3 trials. As you do more trials for your observed relative frequency, your prediction is going to be more accurate. But just for this example, we'll leave it at 3 trials. Okay. So now I'm ready to make a prediction. And if I wanted to make a prediction for how many times I pick a green pen, then the ratio I would use is 2 over 3. If I wanted to make a prediction of how many times I would select an orange pen, that ratio would be 1 over 3. And we can make this prediction for so many different types of trials, right? We could predict how many times we're going to pick a green pen if we randomly select one 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, right? That's not going to change the initial ratio that we'll be using today. So that's going to be our focus, making predictions using observed relative frequency.